Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everyone.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer insights and ideas for how emerging small and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can establish and grow their business.
Bruce and I have been working in CPG commercial operations for over 30 years, working on brands of all sizes. By commercial operations, we mean all aspects involved in establishing and growing brands across channels and platforms. On our show, we bring on guests that are brand founders, leaders, investors, as well as all kinds of suppliers to these emerging brands that are subject matter experts to share their unique insights with the audience.
To keep up with the show, please follow the Road to Retail podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a review and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. You can also check out our website at www.road2retail.com and follow The Road to Retail on LinkedIn. Let's get to today's episode. Since 1994, the Emerson Group has been the trusted partner to brands, retailers, suppliers, and the CPG industry. Their people are CPG professionals and omnichannel commerce experts. They have built a fully integrated infrastructure with a suite of services and capabilities focused on launching and accelerating the growth of health, wellness, and beauty brands. Powered by their proprietary Omega AI data technology platform, which utilizes a brand's insights and data analytics to create a brand's go-to-market strategy, optimize their omni-channel distribution, build marketing plans, and optimize supply chain. The Emerson Group infrastructure and capabilities serve brands in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. To learn more, visit their website at www.emersongroup.com. Looking to scale or launch your supplement or skincare brand? Eagle Labs Incorporated, based in Florida, offers full-service NSF-certified contract manufacturing of capsules, tablets, powders, liquids, gummies, and lotions. All of their manufacturing takes place in the USA. From R&D and formulation to packaging and fulfillment, Eagle Labs provides scalable, high-quality production that meets FDA and NSF standards. To learn more, contact Michael Law, Chief Commercial Officer at Eagle Labs at michael.law@eaglelabsinc.com, EAGLELABSINC, Michael Law, eaglelabs.com, or text him at 203-242-6417. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of The Road to Retail. Tracy Priest, how are you today?
I'm recovering, Bruce, but I'm almost there, and great to be back. So looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, today we have a very compelling, high-energy guest. His name is Tracy Priest, and Tracy's going to give us his thoughts and recap on the unbelievable Expo West conference trade show that just ended out in California. So Tracy, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, and it's fantastic just to recap what an awesome week was last week, high energy, and looking forward to sharing with the audience a little bit about what I saw.
Yeah, I checked with some of the online betting services, and some of the people think you're a better host than guest. I bet that you'll be a tremendous guest, so I'd like to win my $5 bet. So
excellent. Well, I will do my best.
Let's jump in, Tracy. So before we really get into the nuts and bolts about Expo West and your observations and what you learned and saw, tell the folks kind of in fifth grade English, what is Expo West? For those that have only heard of it or are thinking of attending, give us a little background on this huge show.
Yep, absolutely. So it's every year, the first week of March. It is put on by a marketing organization called New Hope, and it's the Natural Products Expo. So probably the largest natural product show in the country. 4,000 exhibitors, about 70,000 attendees. So it is a huge, huge show. It's really where the natural products community comes together, booths, investors, contract manufacturers, you name it, anybody that touches the industry, marketing agencies, they all come together for these 3 days in Anaheim, California, the first week of March.
So, Tracy, you're a veteran of the show. So, first off, why don't you tell the folks how many times you've been? And then over the years, how has it evolved and grown and changed?
So I figured it out. This is my 15th Expo West. I think this year was the highest energy and the biggest as far as exhibitors go that I've probably seen in my years. So it's really a community coming together, and that's what I just really love about Expo West. I got to see a lot of our past guests, as well as meet new contacts, as well as get to network a little bit with evening events. So it's just a great way to come together with the natural products industry.
Excellent, excellent. So now that you've given that background, tell the folks how the show is laid out because I've only been there 3 times and I've been to a fair number of trade shows. And when I was told how big it was, I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. I've been to the big show for sporting goods. Come on, this is fine, and it was unbelievable. So Tracy, talk about whether the number of exhibitors and how the show has grown to encompass not only the convention center, but it spills over into all those buildings and even into some of the surrounding hotels in terms of breakout meetings and
Yeah.
presentations.
Yeah, so the hot area, which they established probably 6 7 years ago, is Hall N, which is New Products Hall. So that's 2 levels. So that's where all the new brands exhibit. So that's a great place to definitely go. And then also in Hall E, which is a part of the main convention center, down in the basement is also a lot of the fun brands and cool. I say it's where the cool kids hang out. And the one thing I will tell you also that was very unique this year is that Walmart Marketplace had a booth. I've not seen in all my years a retailer actually have a booth at Expo West. So they're looking for new brands, and that's how they're doing it. They're going to be going, from what I've heard, to a lot of the major shows throughout the year.
Good grief. I'm sure they had like no traffic and
No,
interest
no,
at
no,
the Walmart booth.
yeah, they had a hard time attracting people.
So Tracy, just for frame of reference, in the new products hall, how many booths are there? I mean, folks, this is not like there's 12 booths.
Yeah.
There's
Well, it's 2 floors, so I would say there's probably over 500 booths. And they all range from 10 to 10 by 10, and some are 10 by 20, but mostly are 10 by 10 booths. So
yeah,
again,
well,
I would say that's really the hall you want to be in. I will tell you that in past years, Hall N would be the only hall open on Wednesday, and they realized that that was a bad idea because you couldn't even walk in there anymore. So now all the entire show opens Wednesday. It does start Tuesday, and that's with a lot of the educational seminars that you can attend as well. So, and then they have a tent outside, which also opens on Tuesday, and that's for really tiny, small emerging brands. And it's basically in an open tent, and you can visit that as well on Tuesdays. I do want
so
to
tr
also point out when you do attend, make sure you get there early and get your badge so that you're not standing in the long line with everybody else on Wednesday when the show opens. So that was a little tidbit I will share with everybody. Get there early and go get your badge on Tuesday, and then be ready to hit the show floor on Wednesday.
so Tracy's point there, folks, is a really good one, and it's for any show, not just this one. Get there early, the day before, the night before, and get your badge because we've all seen people that show up the first day of a meeting. They show up a touch late because they had to go to Starbucks, and now they miss like the first 3 hours because all the other knuckleheads that thought to wait to the last minute have now burned X% of their company's money and their time waiting in line. So,
Yeah.
Tracy, you touched on education. Lots of conferences offer some they call them tracks. There's seminars. There's this and that. Talk about the educational program that was there at Expo West. What was going on?
Yep. So all of Tuesday, there are all these different seminars. The one that I attended was called CPG Innovation Summit, The Future of Retail. I will tell you that the line to get in was really, really long. Again, that's why you get there early, because I believe half of the people that were standing in line to get into this event or educational seminar didn't get in because there wasn't enough room. But this is the one that I chose to attend on Tuesday, and it was again the future of retail. It was LaSpencer Walker from Target, Clara Pay from Unite Foods, Steve Brandcamp from UNFI, and then Daniel Schraff from Startup CPG. So that was a really great one. They talked about just the future of retail, and a couple of key points I took away from the panel was start with strategy. So that was, I think, a key point. Focus on velocity, which is what we talk about a lot. So again, the win is not getting on the shelf, but staying there and maintaining your velocity. And then the other thing that I really liked was they talked about building a brand from a need or an insight. Not that, my family thinks that I have the, best tasting chocolate chip cookie, but that you're meeting some kind of need or insight. So it was really a great session to attend and a great panel.
Yeah, another thing we've heard from several guests, now we're getting away from Expo West and back to emerging challenger brand commentary here, was really understand your unit level economics.
Yes.
We've heard from many guests that, running something at the highest level and only worrying about your gross margin and not taking into account all the other expenses that are in there, it can be curtains because mispricing your product is a huge problem and really hard to get out of. But we have some guests that have been on and more coming that are going to talk about pricing. So,
Absolutely.
Tracy, lots of times there's kind of a beauty pageant for brands in these
Yep.
things called pitch slams. So, why don't you explain what a pitch slam is, how they
Yep.
work, and what you saw there?
Yep. So it's a very select number of brands you submit to for the pitch slam, and then you basically compete against other brands. So there were two that were the biggest ones. Expo West put on one, New Hope Pitch Slam it was called, and then Startup CPG also had a pitch slam. So these were 8 emerging brands, and each of them had 3 minutes to pitch their brand to the panel of people there, and then there was a winner, and then there were cash prizes given out. So what I want to communicate is that Expo West is just not just booths, it's not just giving out samples, but it's education, it's pitch slams, and then there's also retailer meetings. So through RangeMe, you can also submit to get a meeting with some really big retailers. Now there's smaller retailers that also have meetings as well. All of them you have to submit for, and then you get picked to have that meeting. If you think you're going to get a buyer meeting just by reaching out to a buyer, you're not. The show is just way too big for buyers to meet with you at your booth or in the aisle. So this is the way they do it now. So through RangeMe, Safeway, Albertsons had meetings, Whole Foods had meetings, Sprouts had meetings, and again, you get 15 minutes to pitch your brand. They have a room there. I didn't mention that the show also spills out into the Marriott and the Hilton hotels. So a lot of the brokers and a lot of the retailer meetings are conducted at the Marriott and the Hilton right there on the campus of the Anaheim Convention Center. So
So,
these are the,
Tracy, I'm sorry, finish up, please. I have a
I
follow
said,
up.
this is the best way to get a retailer meeting is to submit, and then if you get picked, then you get your 15 minutes of fame. But again, it's very difficult to say, hey, Mr. Buyer, will you just come by my booth, because it's just such a big show and it's hard for the buyers. You used to be able to walk it in one day, you can't anymore.
Yeah, and Tracy made a couple of really good points here, folks. Is first off, there's not going to be a lot of meetings if you haven't been selected. So that's why getting involved with the ECRM and RangeMe platform that kind of connects brands with retailers in a less frenetic environment. Tracy, when you talk about submitting, is it, I'm assuming that there's some sort of portal or form you fill out, or is it left open to creativity and you can send in the
No,
most
there's
tremendous
usually,
love letter that you've
yeah.
ever written?
No, there's a link, and it's usually through RangeMe or an open call that you can see on LinkedIn. A lot of times, retailers will also put it on LinkedIn as well as RangeMe. You click on that, you tell them about your brand in a one page submission, and then you either get approved or not approved.
Okay, so Trace, now one of the things that I always enjoy about these meetings, what were your observations in terms of trends you saw, either trends that are old friends and have been around for a
Yeah,
little while, or
right.
things that are kind of new that you're like, that makes sense, and maybe a few when you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So what'd you see?
There's actually, so a lot of the new trends are driven by the new food pyramid. If people have seen this, they've turned it basically upside down. So
Tracy, are beer and cookies still on the pyramid? Otherwise, I
that,
need to design my own.
yes, you need to design your own because those are no
Gosh,
longer on there, Bruce.
I
Sorry.
hate that. I have a short pyramid, folks.
Yes.
It's a
So
trapezoid.
there you go. So tallow was big. I saw a lot of brands from skincare to snacks. So again, the food pyramid is really promoting healthy fats. Saw a lot of dates and honey. So dates dipped in chocolate, a lot of honey brands. So natural sugars are also becoming hot. Protein is still hot. And so again, you talk about crazy things, Bruce. So it's moving beyond bars and beverages. I saw protein bagels. I saw protein pizza, protein candy, and I think one of the craziest ones was a protein infused pasta sauce.
Hmm.
So proteins going beyond bars and beverages, just kind of crazy. Products that help break your fast. So, intermittent fasting is big these days. So products that help you do that. And then again, mind, body, and beyond brand products like with adaptogens, nootropics, products that benefit mind, body, and soul. And then gluten free is making a big comeback. I saw a lot of brands that are really touting gluten free again. So what we're seeing is in trends, consumers are swapping out essential foods for better for you brands, which is great for for the products, for Expo West and the Products Expo.
So again, folks, some of the things that you're hearing, Tracy said up front, what people are always asking about innovation, so and making sure that what you've developed actually can fill the proverbial white space, that it's something kind of different from what the category people are managing, especially if you're going to brick and mortar retail. But to be honest, it can't be so different that it's a big jump ball as to whether it'll work unless you've really proven it online and at like Amazon first. Because as we've been told by the buyers we've interviewed, they have tons of data and they're watching everything. But if you want to go in and be the very first X, sometimes people say they want bold and then they really don't want to be too bold. So you really need to do your homework and bring in your research there. So
Yep,
Tracy,
absolutely.
we've talked about tips on properly attending these meetings, and we've had guests on such as Andy Whitman from Loft Partners who offered his view on
Yep.
getting the most out of these trade shows. Do you want to just buzz through a couple of the Tracy
Yep.
Priest gospel points that people can really consider?
So the number one point I will tell you is just kind of like a retailer meeting and getting on the shelf. This is where the hard work starts, audience. So you've been to the show, you met a lot of people, hopefully you got to meet a lot of buyers. Now the follow up begins. So follow up, follow up, follow up. That's really, I think, the number one thing that I would tell you is, but also give them some air. They've walked that show for 3 days straight, probably. So they're still getting their feet under them and probably exhausted like most people are. So don't write your email today. Give them a few days. the other thing I would say is make sure that you're prepared. As Andy said in his, have a strategy if you're just walking the show. We recommend walking the show for the first year and then getting a booth so you know the layout, kind of where you want to be. Do you want to be in hall end? Do you want to be in the main hall? Also remember that this is not a selling show. This is where you are planting seeds with buyers so that you can follow up with them to say, hey, where can I send my samples? If they didn't take a sample with them, a lot don't because they don't want to carry them back. Sell sheet, or that you just want that follow-up meeting so that you can talk in more detail about your brand and follow up from the 3 to 5 minute maybe conversation that you had. So not a selling show, but follow-up is key. Also, be prepared that there's going to be a lot of people there who are going to try and sell you things if you have a booth. So one booth said, I'm not, had a sign that said, I'm looking for category managers in these categories. And then he said on the sign, I'm not looking for ingredient suppliers, marketing firms, or anything like that. So I thought that was great. But you will be bombarded. But I will tell you, Expo West has done and New Hope's done a great job. 8 to 10 a.m. every morning, only buyers are allowed into the exhibit halls. So that's a way definitely that you don't get bombarded and you'll be able to meet with buyers directly that you really
Yeah, so
want to meet.
driving home a couple of the points Tracy's made, and for those listeners, you've heard this from us before, the importance of follow-up. Give these folks some air. They're swamped too, and you hopefully are exhausted because if you're not, you didn't really work the show as hard as you could have. Um, if possible, follow up with something specific that you talked about to prove you're not just getting the generic. It was great to meet you at Expo West. I look forward to doing business. Okay, that's
Right.
stupid. Okay. Write something about what you talked about if you met this person, and hopefully you might have taken advantage like dozens of people did and downloaded the VizMerch little app that our friend of the show offered to keep track of all these people you made. Yeah, you can take pictures of badges. Yes, sometimes the scanning mechanism that shows, offer work, and sometimes they don't, which is very frustrating. So be organized, highly organized. The other thing Tracy said about walking the show before you secure a booth, walk the show with eyes wide open. Really think about where you'd like to be. Because if you're brand new and you just want the cheapest booth ever, you might be at the very back end of a hall, next to the dumpster and the bathrooms, and like four people see you. So that's you. Yes, you saved money, and yes, you accomplished nothing. So not necessarily a great outcome for you. Tracy, are there any cost saving tips you can offer? Like, are there early bird signups? Can you jockey for booth position like as soon as the prior show ends, or is there a
Yeah, so they
curing
do have
period?
early bird specials, and if you have a booth that this current year, then you can then go ahead and pick out your booth for next year as well at the show. They have the ability to do that. So uh, booths start to be available if you haven't been before in November of this year, and then also then the hotel rooms through New Hope and Expo West open up in December. So again, they go really, really quickly. They can be really, really expensive. So you definitely want to get uh, an early bird special, definitely on the booth and also on the hotel rooms.
All right, Tracy. So we're coming around to finish this up. So because it is a road to retail staple topic, tell us who your favorite band, brand, or sports team are and why you follow them.
Awesome. So Bruce, as we talked about, I won't mention Florida State because that is just to go to, but I would say that my favorite band of all time is Bruce Springsteen. So I've seen the boss, I think at least 6 times through my years. So I definitely would say Bruce Springsteen, my favorite.
That is an excellent choice and will not be edited out. All right, folks, we're going to throw a little bit of a curveball because Tracy can't do the big finish of his own show, so I will probably underwhelm, but I'm going to give it a shot. So thank you so much for tuning in today and hearing Tracy's recap about Expo West. If you have questions about Expo West, hit us with a DM. If you attended Expo West and want some more counsel from us, same thing, hit us with a DM on LinkedIn or send us an inquiry from our website, which is www.road2retail.com. And hopefully you're following the show, whether it's on LinkedIn or through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or our YouTube channel. Tracy, how'd I do?
You did great, Bruce. Fantastic.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And Tracy, thanks for the solid recap.
All right. Thanks, At.